Hello, Facebook Live. Marcus here from Aroma Time, your chef on a mission. I'm in my office. It's early in the morning right now. I'm getting ready to go for my run here. The sun just popped over the mountain. It's beautiful here in Ellenville. Blue skies, pure sun, mountain range is right there, and early in the morning. So, wanted to get online here and talk about why a restaurant would do this. What is it that restaurants do, or a lot of restaurants, or some restaurants? Not all restaurants do this, but a lot of restaurants do this. Um, and what they're doing is um, exaggerating or lying or hyping their food up, or the natural aspect of their food. So a lot of restaurants will never want to admit that they're serving foods or ingredients that are questionable to our health or to our environment. And the reality is, we restaurant is a restaurant. We all the way the food system works is, it we cut massive corners to up production, to make food affordable, and to preserve it, and to be able to make money on it. Food is manipulated, whether we want to believe it or not. Food is definitely manipulated. Even the certified organic logo, system, procedure has some manipulation to it. Is it better than other foods? Absolutely, 100%. Natural foods better than non-natural foods? Yes, 100%. But here's the thing that restaurants love to do. They love to say their food is natural. They love to say their food doesn't have this, doesn't have that. I want to give a little example the other day. Actually, I have a couple examples to give. So the other day we go out um, recently to eat, and somebody orders. They're not drinking alcohol. They wanted a soda, and the person, the actual owner of the restaurant, says this. Oh, well, our soda is actually natural. It's an all natural soda. You'll love it. So the soda comes to the table, and the bottle comes with it, with the soda. So the bottle's poured into it. So it's not off of a gun. So it comes in a bottle. Now, you're actually able to do soda more naturally when it does come in a bottle, as opposed to the bag in the box, or on the gun, or in the keg. When you put soda on the gun like that in a dispenser, you need more chemical preservatives in it to be able to pull that off. So it came out as a bottle. I'm like, oh, cool. So I pick up the bottle. I start looking at the bottle. There's nothing natural about this soda, like nothing natural. It has artificial caramel coloring. It has sodium benzoate. Sodium benzoate may be a health concern. You can do a lot of research on sodium benzoate on the internet, and I'll tell you what you'll find, because I've researched, I've done it, I've known what sodium benzoate is for years, and we don't serve any sodas with sodium benzoate in our restaurant at all at Roma Time, not at all. Even the ones on our gun are certified organic, sweetened with agave, no corn syrup. And I always make jokes to people, like our black cherry soda is actually clear. I call it albino cherry soda because there's no food colorings in it. So even if it goes as far as that, there's no food coloring in it. You can have caramel. I did a video recently on caramel colorings, and you can actually have a natural, like legit caramel coloring, which costs a lot more money, or um, an artificial caramel coloring, which most soda companies use. When you're making Coke, Pepsi, or any of these colas like this, it naturally doesn't come that color. They have to add a coloring to that to make that coloring. Well, that coloring is in a lot of question about its health dangers, in it. So soda comes out. It's artificially caramel colored, has sodium benzoate in the first like 3 ingredients. And I'm like, and then it has high fructose corn syrup. I'm like, okay, so the owner of this restaurant just touted how natural this soda is, and it's nowhere near natural. So when you drink soda, if you do drink soda, caramel coloring is an issue, artificial. Sodium benzoate. So a little bit on sodium benzoate. So you can do a lot of research on sodium benzoate. Even an environmental working group has some stuff on it, and it falls in the lower tier of 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 safety, meaning it's safer than other chemicals. It's a chemical like preservative. It's used in pickling. It's used in sodas. It extends the shelf life. It starts out from a natural ingredient. You add another ingredient to it, then becomes a non-natural ingredient. The issue with sodium benzoate is might not be so much by itself, But when you combine it with other things, like, so for example, people that are asthmatic should consume zero sodium benzoate, zero. People that are known to have hives and react to things should have zero sodium benzoate, zero, so nothing. These two conditions are not good for. Now, I had asthma. I had asthma my whole life. I had asthma until I was 28 years old. When I was born, until I was 28 years old. At 28 years old, I decided to really watch the ingredients that I was putting into my body and into the restaurant. And at that point, as a younger chef, I knew I wanted my own restaurant. But at 28 years old, when I did this whole health transformation, I got rid of my asthma, I got rid of my acid reflux, I got rid of a bunch of things, several medications. My cholesterol plummeted because I was conscious about what I was eating and putting into my body. And at that point, I knew I couldn't go to work anymore and work for somebody at a restaurant or at a country club or at a hotel, knowing what was in the food and serving the food. I didn't feel comfortable with that at all. So that's what really prompted us to open Aroma Time. Was, okay, 20 years old, I had a plan. We didn't open Aroma Time until I was like 31. So it took 3 years, but I knew that was the destination. We had a plan to do it, and we did it, and we knew exactly what we wanted to do. But it was tough for those 3 years, going into a country club and serving food that I was uncomfortable with, and being told by management, this is what you have to do to meet your numbers, being told by the food and beverage director, whatever, this is what you have to do to meet your numbers, this is what we have to charge. And the food that was being served, and the cheap sodas, and the cheap everything, just, I was like, it drove me crazy. It wasn't what I was about. So for Aroma Time, obviously having our own place, Jamie and I, was a real deal. But restaurants really love to brag that they have natural things when they really don't have natural things. And there's really no definition of the word natural. So it's just an abused word in the food industry. Chicken will come in that says natural. And it doesn't mean that the chicken's natural in the box. The chicken breast and chicken thighs, it doesn't mean anywhere that it's natural. It's still pumped with hormones and antibiotics. It's still soaked with chlorine or a chlorine solution and plumped up. What it means is, if the word natural in this case means it hasn't been, like, the chicken is still in its natural form, is what it means. It doesn't mean it was raised natural. It's still in its natural form. Another story, years ago, Jamie was doing an elimination diet because she was having skin issues. And she was also having hives and having skin issues. So years ago, it was probably a good 12 years ago, probably 2008. So she's on this elimination diet, and we go to this very fancy French restaurant, and Jamie's avoiding soy. That's what she's avoiding, that week. She can have no soy products, no soy oil, nothing. So she goes to the waiter. We want to, order the Caesar salad. We want this, order this. And she goes, I can't have any soy oil, no soy oil. So the waiter goes in this French accent, oh, we don't use soy oil here. No soy oil. So I ask, is there salt? What do you cook with? Oh, no, we cook with olive oil. We cook with olive oil. We saute with olive oil. We make our French fries with olive oil. And olive oil. I looked at him, and I grabbed his arm, and I said, listen, if she gets soy oil, and I said she's going to start itching like this. She's going to start itching in here. She's going to start itching if she gets soy products, soy oil. Oh, let me go check with the kitchen, but we use olive oil. He comes back 3 minutes later, and he goes, I am so sorry. I said, what? He goes, oh, we don't use olive oil. I said, well, what do you use? He goes, well, we use soy oil. I said, to saute with? Oh, we use soy oil. I said, well, your deep fryer, like the French fries? I'm sorry, it's soy oil. I said, the Caesar salad, the salad dressing? I'm so sorry, we use soy oil. So they will tell you anything. They will tell you anything, knowingly or not knowingly. They will just say stuff, and it drives me crazy when this happens, because I know as a chef what the real deal is back there. I know. And when I said to this, when we ordered the soda, and we weren't even looking for natural soda, right? But she's bragging, the owner's bragging that, oh, we serve this natural soda, so you're going to love it. So there's natural soda, and then puts it in front of our face, and it's not natural. Like, what do you think, we're stupid? Like, this is crazy. Like, do you actually think that we're stupid and we can't read the label? Or is the restaurant owner stupid? Or is the restaurant owner lying? So this really, really, really drives me crazy. If you have any stories about this kind of stuff, just drop some comments here. I'd love to hear your stories. We are what we eat. We totally are what we eat, and especially now, we really need to honor our health, honor the environment. There's a direct correlation between our health and the health of the planet. The more pure natural foods that we eat, the easier it is on Mother Nature, the easier it is on our planet, the less processing. And people just don't think about how all the processing that's done. Like when you process sugar, there's a lot that happens when you process sugar. And there's certain industries. There's a lot of resources that go into things to process them and clean them. Um, so just trying to be conscious. And like I said, everybody's always heard me say we're not perfect. Aroma Time is not perfect, but we're conscious. We're conscious, and we're always looking for better options. Whether it's a drinking straw, I mean, drinking straws are the one things that they know. These restaurants will tout farm to table, this and that, and they give you a paper drinking straw with harsh glues and chemicals in the straw. Oh, we're environmentally friendly here. We're environmentally friendly. We use recycled products, and there goes the paper straw right into the soda, which is very high acidic, right? Very acidic. The straw starts coming apart, and all that harmful glue goes into your beverage, and you're sitting there drinking it. By the way, there are good straws out there. We have a great straw company, but the straws are like 4 or 5 times the price, and not many restaurants are dedicated to spending 4 or 5 times the price for a straw that has no MOAs. There's a list of these glues and these chemicals that you want to avoid, and we know one company in Germany that actually makes a straw. As far as that, I don't know any other straws that are out there to do this. This a fantastic straw like this. So most paper straws, you can go to Restaurant Depot. You can walk into Restaurant Depot, walk in and see eco straws, paper straws, eco straws made of recycled or whatever ingredients that have harmful chemicals in it. And a restaurant owner walks in, a chef walks in and says, "Oh, I'm being great to the environment today, and it's an eco-friendly straw," not realizing, not doing enough research, and then all of a sudden buys other similar ingredients like that, and all of a sudden makes this greenwashing claim, self-proclaimed green status, saying, "Well, we're green here. We're green here. We this," and not understanding the education that goes into it. We signed on to the Green Restaurant Association years and years ago. It's basically a third party that can go in and monitor what we're buying, but not only monitor what we're buying, but educate us as restaurant owners of, hey, this is what you want to look for. You want to buy a new refrigerator? This is what you look for. You want to buy a new dish machine? This is what you look for. You want to buy a new straw? This is what you look for. You want to buy a new paper cup, disposable cup? These are the guidelines for green paper cups. And it goes to even as far as, do you want to buy stuff from a distributor that has all the right stuff? Here's this distributor that's actually certified green from us, which is one of the distributors we use out of the New York area, Ace Naturals. The whole company is certified from the Green Restaurant Association. So anything I buy from them, I know is 100% legit, and it's great to have that feeling. But a lot of restaurants just shortcut all this and just make these claims because deep down, restaurants know, the owners know, the managers know, the chefs know that we shouldn't be eating farm salmon. But they make it out to, oh, this is an organic farm salmon. This is a natural farm salmon. This is a better farm salmon. This is better. This is, we're using olive oil to cook with, or we're using olive oil to do this. Most chefs in restaurants are using olive oil canola oil blend. If it would be interesting one day if I did a walk around through Restaurant Depot. If I took my camera and went live, or just did a whole thing and walk, I don't think they'd probably let me, or like me doing that in Restaurant Depot. But if I walked in there and just did this video and went to every category of food in that place, which this Restaurant Depot doesn't differ much from Cisco. It doesn't differ much from U.S. Foods or these other companies out there like Ace Co. It doesn't differ much than most restaurants are buying from. If I walked in there and even went to like the cracker section and read off the ingredients in the crackers, if I went to the bread section, read off the ingredients in the breads, if I went to the dessert section and listed off all 30 ingredients in their cheesecake, if I went to the fish section, the frozen fish section, I was deleting some photos on my camera on my phone yesterday. I went through there one time. I took pictures. I did a post a year or so ago, 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, pre-COVID. of all the funky chemicals in like catfish and sole and pollock. And these are things that chefs buy on a regular basis. They're buying pollock from Restaurant Depot to make fish and chips. They're buying they're buying the tilapia from there, pumped with this chemical and that chemical and water, and made. You go through all of their frozen fish there. Probably 8 out of 10 is from China, product of China, and if it's not product of China, it's processed in China. So it's caught in Alaska or Russia and then shipped to China to be processed. And if we walk through, like we can literally walk through any single category in there, the sauce category, the balsamic vinegars, wherever, balsamic vinegars, very questionable. A lot of the cheap balsamic vinegars are very, very questionable. It's red wine vinegar with grape must, sometimes coloring added to balsamic vinegar. Yes, even though they're following the traditional process or trying to replicate the traditional process, they're still questionable. If you walk through the oil and all the stuff that is, I don't think Restaurant Depot has one single cooking oil, fryer oil, salad oil that is expeller pressed, that is truly expeller pressed without hexane gas in it. And I see chefs in there when I cannot stand going to Restaurant Depot, but I go there for one or two things here and there. They do have like organic agave. They do have one of our low temp dish chemicals. They do have Dawn detergent, which is biodegradable. It's the blue Dawn pot detergent. I go in there, I stock them on it because it's biodegradable. It's approved by the Green Restaurant Association. It's the one thing that we can use that is like a legit product that they have. The latex gloves from them I'll buy sometimes, if they even have them in stock these days. So I'll go in there and I'll stock up on things like that. I don't go there and like buy like food that we're gonna serve. They do have sometimes they do have a good Reggiano cheese. We're actually at the plant in Italy, in the Reggiano plant, that they sell. They do have a couple Cabot products. They do have organic milk, but they don't sell much of it. It's sitting there, organic milk. When they first opened, they had in Newburgh, they had a really nice grass-fed meat line, but none of the other local chefs were buying it, so they discontinued it, and they only sell that product in their higher-end stores where there's a market for it, like in the New York Metro stores. They'll sell this really high-end grass-fed beef. And when they opened up here in Newburgh, it's like, oh my gosh, this is great. They have this amazing grass-fed beef. And come to find out, nobody was buying it, so it just went on special and was sold for half price. And then management was like, "There's no reason for us to bring this in because nobody here in the Hudson Valley is buying this kind of quality of beef." So they do have fresh fish. They're wild frozen Alaskan salmon is probably the worst salmon you can buy. You probably wouldn't even put it into a can. It's all net caught, cheap stuff, really fishy tasting. I made a mistake and bought it once, loaded with chemicals. Not even just not even a good product at all. It gives wild salmon a very bad name. They're sitting there touting all their Norwegian farm salmon. But any aisle I walk through there and anything I pick up, I mean, even right down to the Nutella. Folks, Nutella is has stuff in it, and restaurants are using Nutella like it's going to style. Nutella is not a natural product. You look at it, it's not a natural product at all. So any aisle there, anything, I can go there, and if I did a camera and did something like that, it would shock some people. Be like, oh my gosh, this is the food supply that's actually in our restaurants that we eat every day, that we think is that the chef is doing farm to table and this and that. And sure, some chefs are doing a mixture of farm to table and then totally toxic foods. So they'll literally take local produce, local something, local this, local that, and then just totally local greens, and then totally just destroy it with some hexane gassed oil and some really cheap vinegar, thinking that, oh, this is a good balsamic when it's not even a good balsamic, or some kind of other distilled vinegar. A lot of these balsamics are just distilled red vinegars with grape must in it, and oak aged in massive barrels for 60 days, because that's the law in Italy. But once you get into the better balsamics, that's why balsamic is such a wide range. So that's it, folks. I'm just upset when restaurants do that, because I know a lot of people don't know. Consumers sitting down, they don't know, they don't question. If you go to a restaurant like I did with that at that French restaurant, that high-end French restaurant, one of the nicest French restaurants in the Hudson Valley, and they're sitting there just lying straight to my face, and I'm like, yeah, you're not using olive oil for everything, organic, extra virgin olive oil for everything. I know that. Um, so, and this place charges exuberant prices. Like they can afford to use extra virgin olive oil for everything. Me here, I'm buying this really expensive um, rice bran oil. I'm buying this expensive local sunflower oil that is 5 times the price of these other oils, 4 times the price of these other oils, because I know the difference, and I don't want to ruin all these other ingredients that I'm buying. I buy the most expensive salt I can find, the Redmond real salt. $65, $70 for a 25-pound bag. No other restaurant even considered doing that. They're going to take these farm to table ingredients and throw kosher salt on, Morton's kosher salt or some kind of sea salt that is totally chemically processed and toxic. But I can't stand with the restaurants just don't pay attention, and us consumers have to because for the prices a lot of these restaurants charge, they can totally afford to serve what we're serving, what I'm buying, 100%. But it's don't you have every right to question what's in your food. You have every right. And a lot of people are nervous, like, oh, I don't want to really. No, there's laws in place for food transparency that you're allowed, and you need to understand what's going into your food. And if you're served something that's misrepresented, then you can actually take legal action on this. Especially there's court cases that I've seen, many court cases where Muslims are fed pork because they're not saying the restaurant's not saying that they're putting pork into this product because they're using the bacon fat or something, or the pork belly fat, so they think they're eating meatloaf, and it's really has meatloaf with pork in it, and it's not listed on the menu, and they're not saying anything. And when they ask the staff really doesn't know and says, oh no, there's no pork in it, when there actually is pork in it. So you have rights as consumers to know what is in your food, whether it's religious or just a preference. That's your right, and there's laws in place for that. So don't be afraid to ask. And sometimes when I'll ask chefs, they'll get upset and be like, "Is this an investigation?" No, I'm just concerned about what I eat. It's not an investigation. I'm concerned about what I eat. You have something listed on the menu. I'm asking you what farm it's from. I'm asking you if it's truly wild. I'm asking you if it's fresh or frozen or what exactly it is, because I actually honestly know. I know more than you do about the food you're serving. So I've worked in those places that I've worked in, working at the Broadmoor and the Greenbrier. Same thing. There's in these places are serving super high end food. There's you buy certain ingredients that you brag about. You brag about this beef and this, whatever, milk fed veal or whatever. You brag about something, and then all of a sudden you turn around and throw the worst other products into the mix of cooking it, because we have to save money, and we're on a budget, and we have to control costs, and this and this and this, and we have to make as much. When I first started working at the Broadmoor, I think the Broadmoor profited like 26. We as entry level management there, as a sous chef, I was privy to some of the profits of the places, and the restaurant I worked in made a couple $1 million a year profit. Literally made like $3 million a year profit or something. The Penrose Room, and the whole property made an insane millions and 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 millions of dollars, right? So we were privy to that kind of stuff, and I said in one of the meetings, I was like, this is crazy. This is like literally insane what we're doing here. Like the stuff that you're being cheap on with us in this restaurant is crazy. Like I can't get a new saute pan, and we're making millions of dollars a year, and you can't buy me a new $20 saute pan. Like I need 25 saute pans here, brand new saute pans to do our job in this. And I was the sous chef. This is what we need, and they didn't like to hear that. They didn't like to hear it at all. The chef was like, we have to run this as a profit, as a restaurant, and you obviously don't understand that. I said, what I don't understand is how you can make $3 million profit in this restaurant, and we're cooking with saute pans when the handles are falling off of them. That's what I don't understand. Like you have to give me tools to do my job here, and for us cooks and everybody else to do their jobs, you have to give me those tools. If you can't give me those tools, you can't expect, certain things. When I worked at the Greenbrier, the very first week I worked at the Greenbrier, different attitude. Now it's not, because of the totally different ownership. But it was a tax write-off for CSX, the shipping company, the freight company. So it was owned by CSX. Have you ever seen the trains? CSX trains here in New York. They're all over. They do cargo, offshore shipping. They do cargo with trains, and I think even trucking too. So CSX, they own the Greenbrier. The first day, the chef goes to us. The first week, the chef goes to the new employees there. He goes, "We do $20 million in food and beverage here. If you need something, you ask me, and I will get it for you." So I was like, "Well, this is great." He goes, and whenever we asked for something, sure enough, they went to the stock room that was loaded with pots and pans and whatever, and it came to us, and we needed it. But again, on the flip side of it, they were buying the cheapest possible extra ingredients from Cisco, the cheapest possible from U.S. Foods, and the trucks were just sitting there lined up, 5 days a week, buying all this cheap, inexpensive oils and salts and flours, brominated flours, all this kind of stuff to mix in with the fresh organic berries that they want to, bake a strawberry shortcake with. So, for me, it doesn't make sense. So these chefs, I think, are misled because they're buying the one or two items in the dish, or the one item in the dish that happens to be natural. So, for example, this restaurant owner saying that the root beer is natural. She's probably talking about the water, which was the very first ingredient in the root beer, being natural, not everything else. So I think things are just misconstrued, because the bottom line is chefs know that we are more conscious ever about our food, about what we eat. And they're afraid if they tell you the truth about what's in their food, you're going to go somewhere else to eat. I think that's probably the biggest single fear, is they understand, well, if I really admit what's in my food, if I really admit that the organic farm salmon is total crap to begin with, and that there is no organic certification, real organic certification for farm salmon, and that it's still raised in an open pen system, and it's still fed toxic food, and they still crap all over themselves, and there's still sea lice in there. They still have to treat it with slice, and they still have to do this, and this, and it's still letting this up and toxic stuff into the environment. It's still killing the wild salmon. You wouldn't eat it. So they have to sit there and say, well, I have this great organic farm salmon. I have this great farm salmon that's different than the other farm salmons. Because they know, if they told you, well, yeah, it's farm salmon, you probably wouldn't eat it. Because a lot of us are very smart about that now, especially if you watch me. You're very smart and very conscious about the salmon that you eat. There is no right way to do the wrong thing when it comes to salmon farming. If you're farming salmon in an open pen in a bay, you're headed for disaster. I don't care how organic they say they are. I don't care what they're headed for disaster when you put that many fish in that much of a confinement and do that to it. There's no way the salmon. And some say, oh, we have it in deeper oceans. The salmon still go to the bathroom. They still have to eat toxic food. They still have to do all this. They still have to. They're still confined. They can't swim the 2,000-mile journey and spawn again. They can't. They don't have the natural intuition to actually build up the fat reserves to start the journey, going into the mouth of the river, which is when as soon as the salmon hit the mouth of the river, they stop eating. So this salmon will swim 2,000 miles and come back to the same spot that it was hatched, that was born, that was hatched, and spawn there and lay its eggs there. It comes back to the same exact spot in the same river. So throughout the salmon's several-year life, it's swimming through the ocean doing this 2,000-mile journey, and it knows instinctively that when it gets back to the mouth of the river, it's going to stop eating, and it has to have enough fat in it to have nutrition and energy to make that swim up the river, whether it's a Copper River at 300 miles or whether it's a Yukon River at 2,300 miles. It knows how much fat it needs and instinctively knows what to do. And when you catch salmon at that point, that's when the salmon has the most beneficial nutrition, because that salmon is packed with nutrition for itself to make that journey without eating. When you catch a salmon when it's already upstream, it's spent. It's spent because it's already consumed that fat, and it's already consumed it. So like lobster eating its own flesh. So same concept. And some people will say, "Oh, we have wild salmon, and it's this price and it's super cheap." I'm like, "Is it spent salmon?" Like spent salmon, I'm like, "Yeah, is it already swam up the river?" "Oh yeah, we catch it up there." So there's even differences in wild salmon. There's even differences in line caught, net caught, spent salmon. Spent salmon's really not that popular, but you can find it. out there. There's some places do have salmon that is cheaper. That is, that's probably the stuff they're getting in Restaurant Depot. The stuff that's in the beginning of the mouth is the high quality stuff, mouth of the river. So if chefs really told you the truth about what was in their food, you'd probably look for other restaurants to dine in. And even like Chipotle makes all these big claims. You walk in there, we use so many pounds of organic produce. Look at their tortillas. I've read their tortilla ingredients. Not a good tortilla. Not a tortilla that I would want to eat. Loaded with chemicals, loaded with preservatives. Here's a prime example of a restaurant touting the couple of things that they're doing and giving the perception that they're different than other restaurants, that their food is better and different. And then you look at their other ingredients, and it's like, yeah, but you would never walk into Chipotle and say, "Can I read the ingredients on your tortilla?" I do, because I know it's my right. I know it's my right to know what's in my food. So guess what? I don't get if I go to Chipotle. I don't get the tortilla. I get it into a bowl. I get the ingredients put into a bowl. I skip the tortilla now because I asked. You have every right to ask what is in your food at restaurants. And if they are like, "What are you conducting an investigation?" or "I don't know this, that," don't eat there. Simply don't eat there. Panera Bread, when you ask what the ingredients are, they will actually, in most cases that I've experienced, they'll actually hand you a binder, and you can leaf through it and say salad dressing. Oh, canola oil. Oh, this high fructose corn syrup. Even though they tout they're fresh too and better, they will hand you the book and you can read the ingredients yourself and say, "Oh my gosh, I had no idea what was in this food that I'm eating here." There's no way that Panera Bread can be a national chain like they are and not produce bread that is loaded with bromided flour, right, and stabilizers. There's no way. It's a national chain. They're given the perception because the ovens are there and they have this in the counters and that it's a fresher product, but it's an altered fresher product. And when you look at their ingredients right through their book, you'll find that they're no better than anybody else. It's just their perception, how they deliver it, just like Chipotle. We buy tons and tons of organic produce and this and that. And at one point, Chipotle in the very beginning was buying beef from Niman Ranch or pork from Niman Ranch. They were buying really high-end beef. This is pre-McDonald's ownership. And I'm not sure what happened after McDonald's bought it, because McDonald's owns Chipotle. And I remember going to Chipotle pre-McDonald's taking stake in it and buying it. So this is in the 90s. So they might be buying a natural chicken, but it's not like they're going to the farmer's market to buy chicken that isn't soaked in chlorine, that is totally range, but a small restaurant is doing that can do that, they can afford to do that, is doing that, but they're not. They're buying commodity natural, they're buying commodity organic, they're buying stuff that makes it easier for them to do it on a national scale, right? It might be better. Chipotle might be better than Arby's, might be better than Subway. It probably is a lot better than Subway, right? But still, is better the best? No, it's just better. They still have a lot of very questionable items in there. And like I said, we're not perfect. We're always looking for a better solution, a better option, higher quality. And if I find it, we buy it. And I'm very, 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 very conscious, which is why we buy from, 30 different food distributors. We buy our organic truffle oil from one person only because I know this one person does organic, true truffle oil with no funky chems in it. Is it expensive? Yes. Is it worth it? Absolutely, 100%. We bought this cheese last week, this truffle cheese. And compared to other truffle cheeses, it doesn't have the flavor. It doesn't have that pronounced truffle flavor because the cheese isn't made with a truffle perfume. It's made with real truffles. And real truffles like that are much subtler in flavor at that price point versus a truffle cheese that's loaded with a truffle flavoring. And you can make truffle flavoring synthetically, or you can make a natural version of truffle flavoring by extracting certain components of celery and broccoli. And I think you had garlic, celery, broccoli, garlic. There's certain compounds in those that extracted and mixed together will mimic black truffle or white truffle. It will mimic it. It's not the real deal, There was a truffle oil producer I went to. I called him out on Facebook on a video, on YouTube on a video. And he called me threatening to sue me and this and that. And And I said, well, invite me over. Like, invite me over to your place and let's see what you're doing. So he did. He invited me over to his place, and he's showing me. I'll come to this lady in a lab coat. I think this is part of the show. Some little tiny bottle. She goes, this is the pure truffle extract. We had a little bit of this to this big vat of oil, and we had truffle oil, and he was explaining everything. And as we're walking through, he's like, we only buy the best ingredients. All of our honey comes from the United States. And I'm looking at the honey tub sitting there, product of Argentina, China, Asia, whatever it was. It was coming from like 4 different continents, his honey. And he's sitting there to my face, saying to my face, we buy the best ingredients ever. We buy them only the best ingredients. All of our honey is American honey. He's telling that to my face, and I'm looking at the jugs there. I'm like, does he think I'm stupid? And I got the camera rolling. I was like, does he think I'm stupid? But this is the person who then tells the distributor, who then tells the chefs that this is American honey infused with this best Italian truffle extract, right? And it's not. Then he's sitting there showing me, well, for our economy accounts like Olive Garden, we make them this truffle oil. So you're already admitting to me that you have the cheap truffle oil in your operation. So you already admitted to me, because this is the stuff we sell to, and it's, this is the cheaper stuff, this is the synthetic stuff. So we have synthetic and we have natural truffle oils. And the guy who I buy our truffle oil from just tears these people apart. He's like, Marcus, I'm the only certified organic truffle oil out there. I'm the only one. Here's my paperwork. Here's my credentials. Come see what I'm doing. Go visit my place in Italy. It's in Umbria. You'll go see my partner there where the truffles are. You'll see we're certified organic on the farm. Come check my place out here in New York. Here's everything. There's a reason why I've been on Oprah. There's a reason why I've been on Martha. There's a reason why I've been on this, and this. Here's the reason. Here's all my credentials. Here's everything you need to know, Marcus. And he looks at these other people. He's like, these guys are jokes, Marcus. He'll text me every now and then and say, hey, another lawsuit on this truffle producer. Another lawsuit on this truffle. Class action lawsuit on this truffle producer, because they're not putting truffles into the truffle oil. They're calling it truffle oil, but they're not putting truffles into it. So same thing with the cheese. They're calling it truffle cheese, but there may be no truffles in it, just truffle flavoring, truffle extract. And so some of these producers, when you see the bottles now, I don't have any here, but when you see the bottles, they'll drop a couple truffle shavings in the bottom of the oil so they can legally say that it contains truffles. So it legally contains truffles. So, and again, it just goes back to, if they told you the truth, we're smart enough to figure out this stuff. We're smart enough to figure it out. But when they flat out put the bottle of soda in front of you and say this is natural, and you look at it and say the only thing natural in here is the water, this is a scam. It's happening. It's happening all the time. And again, you have a right to know. Everybody, thanks for tuning in on this Facebook video. I'm going to put this on YouTube as well. Thank you very much. I really, really appreciate the support. If you like this, give it a thumbs up. If you have any comments, just leave them there. I appreciate it. I haven't looked at any of the comments because I wanted to go on a roll here on this, a little rant or a roll, and drop some content. And we had some great views on here. Now the duration of this 38 minutes. I'm going to go for my rundown. Then I got to get on some of my coaching calls with our restaurant clients. And everybody have an amazing, amazing day. We'll talk to you later.